My name's Brooke. Welcome to today's reading. It is Friday, May 8th, 2020, and I am just getting ready to go for a walk, actually, with some friends. And it is part of the national call to run with Ahmaud. So, in memory of the young man in Georgia who was lynched. And so I'm going to go change into a white shirt and get ready to go for a walk after I do this reading. So I would like to do a reading about the circumstances around his death, and I don't mean that personally, like not for his family or him personally, but rather the only thing that I have a right to do a reading about regarding this, which is the political situation in our country, the systemic racism in our country, the deep injustice in our quote-unquote justice system, all the way up to the top. And we can thank the current administration, I think, for opening the eyes of many a white person who considered themselves liberal prior to this administration, for opening our eyes to the injustice and inequality at so many levels of government, and how scary it is to be threatened by your own government and people in authority around you. And I think that there are a lot of communities, and some white communities as well, particularly people living like in poverty or homeless people, who have known for a long time how very broken the system is. But some of us, I think, we're later to fully understand, and I can't even begin to claim to fully understand. But I am trying to understand how the system operates, and who am I in that system, and what can I do to contribute to a more humane and loving community. So today for this reading, I am going to use the Herb Crafters Tarot, which is a beautiful deck. Here's what the little book looks like. And then the box has a different image on it, but this is the image from the World card, and I realize it might be backwards because I don't know if I can flip this video. So I was searching for something to do a reading about, my next sort of posted reading, and I just decided that since I'm about ready to go do this thing, and that this is what's been on my mind all day, and I've been thinking about it this week, as have many other people, I think it's the right thing to do a reading about. So it's a sort of ambitious reading, but I want to try to understand the energy at work in our country right now. I don't think that it's possible to understand intellectually, although I think it's a worthy goal and it's important, and we don't stop trying to wrap our minds around the history and the forces at play, and who benefits, and the economics, and all of those kinds of things. So I'm not saying, we just forget all that stuff and go by gut instincts on everything. And also, this is tarot. And so this is not the tool for trying to, write an academic political science paper or something. This is a tool for trying to reach into some kind of spiritual truth, some sort of collective energetics, things, the numinous things that are beyond our understanding, but we still feel. So, in doing a reading about this topic, I think my questions are: where are we as a nation? What's the pivot point that we're at? What's the tension, building up till now, and then going forward? So there's that question about the pivot point, the crux. What's the crux of this issue? And then maybe something about directionality. So I don't really like to read, predictively, but certainly there's, natural consequences. There's a wheel that turns, and if something's happening now that you've set in motion, then yes, there are going to be consequences down the road for that, and certain things are more likely than others. So if we sort of see what is the crux of the issue, and then sort of in what direction is that arrow pointing, which doesn't mean it's fate or it's unchanging, but just kind of the energy of what's to come given where we are now. Something about maybe like a guidance card, a lesson card. Since I'm doing this reading to share, I'm hoping for collective energy around this guidance, but it might be for me. It might be, what am I supposed to do next, or something, because each of us are in different circumstances with different sets of challenges, different privilege, and so what applies to me as my guidance or lesson may not apply. Like other people might be like, yeah, we already figured that out, or might need to be learning a different lesson or taking a different action. So I guess I'd like some kind of guidance card around this situation, this larger sort of political situation, and when I'm looking for something to. So I'm going to start with these 3-card reading. And then if I have any other questions, I'll ask some follow-up questions. And how I do this, I'm going to show you my messy desk. Let's see, I think I can reverse. All right, so I take the cards and shuffle them, and I think I was shuffling them for much of what I was talking about earlier. And this is just, I just spread them out like this, and then I draw as feels. So this one right here is going to be card 1. And just for suspense purposes, I'm going to not flip it over yet. Okay. Card 2 wants to be this one right here. Okay, and then card 3, a guidance card. It's going to be this one right in the middle. Okay. I'll sweep these off to the side. Okay, so we have 3, 2, and 1. And with this deck, I don't read reversed cards, so I have other decks that I do. So if I flip anything over and it's upside down, I'll just automatically flip it upright. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So the 5 of Air card as our current situation, sort of collectively. 5 of Air is a card of loss and setback and disappointment. Although I think this situation is heartbreaking, the 5 of Air is not particularly about emotions. It's usually more about arguments, intellectual, debates and that sort of thing, communication, and our heads. So the 5 of Air indicates usually, it can indicate either the winner or the loser of an argument, but it is not like you don't walk away feeling satisfied. So I think that it depicts our current tension, and sort of, there might be something unfair about the situation. I mean, there is clearly something unfair about the situation. I think it's fair to say, even without being on a jury presented with all of the evidence, that there's something deep unfairness and inequality happening in this situation. And I'll just show you the book here. The 5 of Air says, oh, look at that. That's amazing. I haven't drawn this card yet in this deck. Oh my gosh, that third key phrase is amazing. So, white sage, long-held beliefs may not be rooted in reality. Refuse to go along with the crowd. Believe the threatened and oppressed. A spiritual crisis challenges long-held beliefs. Though your conscience pulls at you, you are reluctant to let go of your opinions. Rise to the challenge. Accept the truth. And obviously there's a lot more information on this page, but I will just leave it at that for now. Okay, and then this is sort of the direction. This to me, this feels like a call to action. So it perhaps this situation feels like a call to action for many people. How could it be? It's one more stepping stone this situation is one more stepping stone in a long series of stepping stones. So how this could be, a call to action. The crux of this situation, us feeling like something must be done. It feels like we've been at this level of desperation, and this can't go on any longer for a long, long time. So, you could have drawn this card for many similar circumstances in the past. So, but possibly we have reached a turning point, a boiling over point. Somehow, something, is going to change. Some more people will feel like they need to take action. I'm not sure. So that's that. And then this approaching card, that's our 9 of Fire, Wild Cherry. It's a beautiful card. So the 9 of Fire is usually a card of, I guess I didn't mention, I haven't had this deck for a long time. I've only had it for a couple of months. And so I've done daily draws with it and that sort of thing, but not necessarily, I haven't necessarily interacted with every single card. So I'm doing my interpretations based on my studies of the tarot, which are, have been going on for many years, and my understandings of the cards. But, each deck has its own nuances. So we may find, the nuance might be, a shade different than. So I had to pause because I was interrupted. The 9 of Fire usually represents its, fire is wands. This is like about energy, stamina. It can be spiritual, it can be creative, but that's what the fire element generally is about. And the 9 is, it's what comes at the end of all of the, each of the preceding numbers leads up to the 9. And so the 9 is usually a position where someone has, it's like a lessons learned position, and also like someone who is, I guess I would say, like, able to fight the good fight. Like, they have proven themselves. They are, I'm picturing the traditional, like, Rider-Waite 9 of Wands as I look at this card. And it's typically someone who's, it represents dedication and courage and readiness, but also like all of those things, but it's kind of got a last battle feel to it. Like, ready because you've had 8 battles prior to this, and you are, you're sort of worn out. There's a weariness to this card, but like this sense of like, this person has been tested so many times that they can really dig deep and prove, this is like when they prove themselves. And it generally is a card of being able to, to meet that challenge with like a deep well of, like personal, like reserves. So in this context, if this is the direction we're going, it seems to me like this indicates that it really has been a very long battle, which goes without saying, I think, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm just going to acknowledge that there is a massive amount of history preceding these cards. But I think that, it shows that people are going to show up and be ready. So I find this a very hopeful card. And here we go. We've got the book. Sorry for the shaking. So this one, again, this is also not a card that I've drawn for myself yet. So I haven't read it yet. So it's the Wild Cherry card. Radiant power, humble spirit, sweeten work with play, satisfaction flourishes when you stay the course. So perseverance, determination, strength and stamina. Those are some of the key words that stand out there. You have the strength and stamina to meet life's demands with confidence. And so, like I said, I feel like this card has a lot of, like it can come at a point that feels like, man, that has been a lot of hard work and it has been brutal and there have been blood, sweat, and tears. but there is a sense that the direction that we are heading will, as Martin Luther King Jr. says, and I'm going to misquote him, but that, the arc of justice, the arc of history is long but bends towards justice. And I've had a very hard time trusting that. That feels like magical thinking to me. And yes, I'm a tarot reader. And also, I'm very careful about magical thinking. And yet, one wants to hope that there is a greater spiritual or, just that humans can move ahead and overcome. So, and this card seems to indicate that direction. And usually, I didn't say this when I was reading them, but usually when I read, the energetic direction things are going, especially since these are minor arcana cards, I don't think this is like eventually, it doesn't mean in 100 years or something like that. It's the energy that can already be felt, that is already seated in this present moment, the kind of consequences of the choices that we're making right now. So and particularly because it's a minor arcana card as well, I think there's an indication that this is coming, within, this is just a made up number, within a year, but something that is on a feeling level, we are going to see this consequence happen. All right. And then here's our guidance card, which is so fascinating. The poisonous hemlock. I'm not going to say the first thing that pops into my head about this Emperor card, the leader card, and the hemlock, but I will say some of the other things that pop into my head. So I feel like some people are back here chatting away. Okay. So the Emperor card is, and then I also have a cat that came for a visit. So hi, kitten. Did you want to be helpful? Okay, sorry for the interruption. So, all right, I need to leave in 1 minute, so I need to make this very quick. The Emperor card, the Emperor is the leader. It's also a major arcana card, so we're talking about big time leadership, father figure, father of a nation figure. It certainly does not and often isn't a positive card. It can be an authoritarian figure. It really depends. The Emperor can go a couple of different ways, but it's that patriarchal energy. Of course, there are good ways to be the Emperor figure as well. And so for a guidance card, though, I'm curious to see, I haven't drawn this one yet either, and I'm curious to see where that hemlock metaphor takes us. So the Emperor is about controlling, setting boundaries, making rules. And of course, the positive Emperor energy is, setting healthy boundaries and, rules of, around how resources are used and things that are sort of fair and protect let's see, the Emperor has, what's the word? I'm so distracted by you guys right now.
I was just trying to
The words that's coming to me is charges, but it's not. The Emperor has people that he rules. What's the word? I don't know. It will come to me after I turn this off. Okay. So anyway, but to protect the people, right? To protect those whom he is in position to protect. That's his job. So, my thought with this as the guidance card is, my thought when I was doing the reading was personal guidance, right? So each one of us. So there is a level of sort of, not letting other people take your power from you. And I realize that's not an easy thing. That's not just something that we just get to choose. But how can we do that? And the thing that comes to mind, it feels a little bit trite, but goodness, voting, right? Selecting our leader, choosing, okay, here we have come together to work as a community. That's what our government is theoretically, is, us collectively saying, hey, we need to make some agreements about how we're going to do this so that we can live in harmony, right? And each get what we need and not violate each other's rights and that sort of thing. So, and together we will choose leaders, right, who will help us to do this, because, if each one of us is trying to make this decision, it's going to take forever and be impossible. But instead we'll have this kind of proxy person who we trust. And so, I think choosing a leader who has the qualities that can, bring about that justice is really important. I am going to just quickly, I have a lot more thoughts about this, but I really do need to go, otherwise I'm going to be late. So, the Emperor: build strong boundaries. A sturdy structure supports abundant growth. Own your authority. Well, that's about what I said. So, why the hemlock? That's what I want to see. Hemlock is ideal for framing houses because it is a soft wood that toughens with age. Trust your boundaries. They may feel pliable at first, but they will strengthen over time. Oh yes, by creating the conditions for other plants to thrive, hemlock is an important part of a healthy ecosystem. Now that seems really important, right? Like, we are only, our strength, we just can't live in this individualistic structure anymore. This idea that it's every man for himself, right? We can do better.